coaching, so they kept trying to coach me.
Was it too high up
It's
or what?
like,
Oh, yeah, no, just
it's
pull
like
out
you
that,
can't talk to
the
me
plastic
after
and we're gonna put
every
it lower down.
shoot. Wait a while, you know? Just
All right, guys,
sit
so,
down, sit down.
what did we learn this time? What was some of the big challenge, red team?
Don't chase balls and
Huh?
I wasted way too much time for 15 seconds. Yeah.
In Auton? Chasing balls?
More than a robot would have. We're still like
In Auton, unless you have a special program, remember in Auton you have to stick with the plan. So unless you have a ball-seeking program, which could be in Auton, but I mean it is going to be a challenge. Okay, so that's one. What else did the red team learn in Auton?
In Autoton, the guy who can't pick up balls is like kind of useless because he shoots one and
Then that's it?
yeah.
Well, they're going to have up to 3, but yes. Yeah, okay, that's a good point. What else? You learn anything in Auton?
Well, you could have come.
What was the
I
challenge?
was expecting you to come back and pick them up, right?
In Auton, which robot were you?
She was the
I
one arm.
One arm.
One arm? Wait, what was the question? Sorry.
So you said in Auton you weren't useful or later on?
In Autoton.
Okay.
Yeah, in Auton, the human players can't return the balls to the field, so
Right.
yeah, so they can only shoot it once and then that was it.
You were definitely playing when I did.
Yay, literacy.
All right, so was there a challenge that you had in Auton? Did you have a challenge in Auton?
I'm still trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. So-
Okay.
But you did that, her strategy was to go and
Take the balls from
get the
the
top trace and bridge. And then,
What spot in your neck?
and launch them over.
I do?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's move on to the blue team. How about Auton? What do you think?
I like being a dunker
You like being a dunker? Why is that?
because it's easy.
Okay, were you able to get okay, I know your strategy. Yours was to dunk, then go back, get the balls, then go back and dunk.
Yes.
Did that work in the 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you have issues with?
No.
Okay.
Just you sitting on the bridge.
Eric?
It was, I was 2 arms and I could shoot, so I just walked up to the defender and shot. It's a lot easier to shoot from close.
Okay. So really high arc. Did you aim for the top one?
Yeah.
Or the middle? Did you make it?
Yeah.
Okay. How about Bob?
If they already got the balls on the bridge and you push it down, nothing's coming.
Okay.
So you have to basically shoot as you're going back and then push it down
Okay.
Or go back, push it down, and then shoot.
before they get to the robot.
So you learned that was beneficial instead of shooting and then going back there? Okay. So everyone hear that? Make sense? Anyone wonder why? All right. How about Teliop? Let's do the blue team.
Not being able to pick up from the ground is awful.
Okay.
It's funny
There's
because he'd
lots of
stand
balls
in
on the
front of the
ground.
ball and just kind of look at me. He's like, "Did you want the ball?"
And it's
I
kind
was
of
wondering
hard
why
for
you
everyone.
never made any attempt to fight you for that. I didn't realize you're the one who couldn't pick up.
And
Because it would roll right past you versus pick it up, throw it.
so were you dunking it the whole time, or were you handing them to them?
I was handing them and dunking them.
Okay. Did you see an issue of handing it to Eric? all the time?
It's like seemed to take up a lot of more balls than I originally thought it would. Cause I'd hand I'd hand one and then hand another to him and then be like, oh, I should probably shoot one, and it's like, I think it'd probably be easier if you did have a picking up.
If we had a robot like that, I'm kind of thinking of it now, if we have a robot on our lines like that, where we have a dunker and someone that can't pick up and can shoot high, I think it's almost better for them to just park in front of the high net, and instead of the dunker dunking at 2-point, just dunk in every time into there, and then just chuck it up. You know what I mean? Don't even
So you
let
want to
them-
have the dunker just feed to the other robot the whole time?
The other robot sits there in front of the high net so that they can make it every single time. Right in
Or
front of the
have them make it so they can make
That's
it
if
so
they can. We don't know if they can make it every single time.
Well, hopefully,
Okay.
if they're
So you think that having the dunker go pick up the balls and take them over to the one that can shoot them is would be more points than the dunker just going and getting those balls and dunking them.
If the person that can shoot three-pointers can do it very reliably and you sit right in front of the fender, it's a matter of moving to the left or right 2 feet.
Where were you picking up most of the balls?
Basically around the fender.
Okay.
Sometimes I'd run up and like they'd just rolled over the rim so I'd get them there, but otherwise it would win.
Usually against the wall, so it's really close to the baskets? So you're saying it's more efficient to pick up the balls that are already close to the fender, take them back to wherever the shooter is?
I'm saying there's a shooter that can shoot three-pointers 90% sitting right here. And instead of the dunker putting them in that basket, they put them in this one's hopper and they shoot it up through.
You're gonna have robots in the other team bumping as well.
Yeah.
We haven't had that
That's
yet.
what I was saying, like,
So
hop it
make it really
into-
I was gonna be a defensive robot.
I look at it as just miniature.
Which
Yeah,
feature
make
is?
it really hard to
Well,
fly
like,
with the smart.
his idea was like having the one just park itself, like have it so it parks in the key, so it can't be like pushed.
Okay, my question is this. If you have to hand the balls to another robot, did that seem time effective? Was it worth doing that, or was it worth just going and scoring 2 points rather than 3?
It was probably more worth just going and scoring, because it seemed like soak up more time, because you actually like had to get it, then give it to him, and then he had to shoot, whereas with you, you got it, and you just went and go shot.
It was a trade-off that we had to figure out.
I think if you do it right both ways, depending on the robot.
Because is 1 point a shot really worth that much more if you can make 2 baskets in that time?
In the situation I was saying, though, like,
If the dunker can, if the shooter can shoot from the fender,
yeah,
that's what you're saying.
yeah, or even from the key. If they can shoot up like 90% from the key and backing up that 5 feet or the fender, if they're shooting from that area anyways.
Okay, Bob, do you have
And
any
if
comment on
you're
that?
ball limited, if you're ball limited, it makes sense to get the most points out of every ball.
Here's the thing that I have an issue with too, is that, you know, we were shooting to the ball, and the people that I saw that couldn't pick up off the ground had amazing hoppers that caught most of the balls that came at them. You know, you're shooting this from probably 60 inches or higher into this hopper that's designed to take a ball that just rolls off that ramp into you. I don't know that you're going to find a robot out there that actually has that capability to take a ball from another opponent that effectively and shoots. Realistically, if you think about it for this game, the people that can't pick up off the ground are probably going to be the rookies. And they're not going to have a great shooter. They're not going to have...
It's similar to last year. I mean, we thought that people would be handing off tubes, but did it ever happen? You know, because when you're driving, especially because you're going to be on the opposite side of the field, aligning that so that you can hand off the tube or the ball and not miss is an issue.
I think it's much more likely we're going to see the same thing like last year. People are going to try to launch it down that thing to get the roll to go over the bump and just get it down to your side like they would have done last year.
Okay, skipping back to the red team really quick. The dunker, who was the dunker? And who was the one hand and who was two hand? Okay, so you never picked up off the ground? Okay, how did you get balls?
Most of the time, threw them from over there to me.
So you caught them every time?
Not every time.
But you were catching them, you weren't just handing them off?
I'd say it was at least 50% for what I saw.
That was not my vote.
It's an interesting strategy. I mean,
Can you catch them though?
if the robot's designed like that, it could.
Like,
That's,
have like a wall or something that feed in.
it's an interesting strategy. We may run into robots that can block balls and bring them in. But so the one-hand shooter was feeding the two-hand, and were you just then only feeding him, or were you actually shooting it as well?
What I was doing was because he couldn't pick up the balls from the ground, I was picking up the balls that were by him, I was throwing them back over, so this team could score points while they couldn't.
So you were on the opposite side of the
Yeah,
field,
I was on the
and while
opposite
he was scoring over here.
Yep.
It's a good way to feed it. Okay, what about the dunker? What did you experience? Ice?
It depends on where I got the ball. If the ball was coming from here, if I was like getting the rebounds, then I would aim for the dunk. But if I was closer to Connor and he had no ball in his hand, I would toss it to him and let him take the shot.
Okay. I want to ask you this because I saw you scoring a lot over here. Did you keep track of how many baskets you made?
Maybe 9,
9? So something like that?
something like that.
How many baskets did you make, Eric? 4? Connor, how many did you make? 4. How many did you make?
Don't know.
You don't know? A lot or?
Yeah, she need a
Okay. The thing I noticed out of anyone on the other team is that the dunker was making the most baskets.
Dunkers are making the most locally.
But you weren't feeding him unless you just happened to be close to him, right?
That was kind of
Okay. Honestly, in this side, just from, I don't know how the human players saw it over there. Where did you see a lot of the balls come in?
Oh, I was watching the whole thing.
Okay, who was human player on that side? Joe? All right, Joe, okay. When,
I was grabbing, they were mostly coming in on the twos.
the twos,
Yeah, mostly the dunker coming in on the twos.
they were easier to get, right? And most of the top ones, were they not aiming at them or were they missing?
They weren't aiming at it as much, so they made it several times into the three, but the twos were coming along more frequently.
Okay, that's what I noticed being a human
ones,
player.
right?
over
I'm
here.
even went for the one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's see, so we covered the dunker and the not being able to pick up off the ground. Now, like, Bob, did you see anything interesting while you were playing? Did you learn anything new?
Good. Not really, because
No.
I was just feeding the balls back over here.
Okay.
Whatever was laying on the ground or fed through the.
Okay, what about, I know that you were getting them from the player station or trying to. Was it easier for you to just pick them up off the ground or go over there and get them each time?
It's easier to get them from there because you know where they're going to be. And there's no robots trying to get them while you're in there.
Okay,
And if they are, you get 3 points.
so you didn't have to chase them down as much
Right.
while you were feeding them back over there? Okay. What about the other team? Did you have anyone try to get them from the player station? All right. Did you find it easier to get it from the player station or to just pick them up off the ground everywhere?
Probably the player station. I would agree with what you were saying.
Nice thing about the player station though is if they're in that alley, they're somewhat protected as long as there's somebody around there. It's too risky to go in and get it because you're going to give them a penalty.
Would it make sense for them to shoot? Did you throw it for the basket or did you throw it to the player?
I threw it to him.
Just to get the ball down here. He was picking a bunch up off the ground. I mean, I think there were some that I saw that Marissa threw back, and then Bob picked it up and threw back, and it kept going, it wasn't getting scored. But it seems to me that Marissa got on this one, I think, threw more balls this way than I saw coming back the other way.
There seemed to be, like, for a while, we had to do a good job of getting all the balls down here, really starved for balls down here. Then they all of a sudden just came back all at once.
Yeah, I think that's when Bob came back here and started.
Was it in the last 30 seconds or was it
Just before that.
just before that?
Just before that.
Yeah, because up to that point, I
That's
noticed.
when Bob was in the player station, or the key over here.
The last 30 seconds, I mean, they were all doing balancing. There was nobody.
No one shooting?
I was shooting.
Um,